think it's a roll of the dice. And if the dice don't roll their way, there's nothing they can do about it. But that isn't true. Wealth has very little to do with chance and everything to do with understanding certain principles. And here's the reality. Those principles are not hidden. They're simply ignored. I learned early on that the rich live by a different set of rules. Not rules of society or law, but rules of philosophy. And those rules are available to anyone who's willing to study them, adopt them, and discipline themselves to live by them. It's not that the rich have a secret meeting somewhere in the hills where they pass around hidden formulas. No, the truth is simpler. They pay attention to what most people overlook. They value what most people waste. They discipline what most people neglect. Think about it. Two people start with the same paycheck. One ends up broke, the other ends up wealthy. Same amount of money, different result. So what happened? It wasn't the paycheck, it was the philosophy. It wasn't the economy, it was the decisions. That's the first secret of wealth. Wealth is never what you earn, it's what you keep and what you become. I'll tell you what changed me. I realized one day that if I didn't change my thinking, nothing else would change. I was working hard, showing up every day, but I was broke. You ever notice how working hard and being broke can live side by side? That's because effort without direction leads to exhaustion. Wealth requires direction, and direction begins with philosophy. The rich understand that money is a seed. If you consume it all, nothing grows. If you plant it wisely, it multiplies. Poor philosophy says spend today and worry tomorrow. Wealth philosophy says plant today and harvest tomorrow. Same dollar, different destiny. Think about it. Someone earns $1,000. Poor philosophy says, how much can I spend? Wealth philosophy says, how much can I invest? How much can I grow? That's the difference. And here's the hard truth. If you don't master this secret, no raise, no promotion, no business opportunity will save you, because money will always slip through the hands of the undisciplined. Now, the second secret is about value. Wealthy people don't chase money. They attract it by becoming valuable. Most people are trying to get more without becoming more. They want bigger pay without bigger skill. But the market is not foolish. It rewards value, not wishes. The secret is to make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. Develop skills, increase knowledge, refine talent. When you do, the marketplace will open its wallet. Not because you asked, but because you earned it. That's another thing the rich understand. You don't get paid by the hour. You get paid for the value you bring to the hour. Two people can stand side by side, both working 8 hours. One earns minimum wage, the other earns thousands. Same time, different value. So the question isn't how long you work, but how much value you pack into the time you work. So that's the key. Wealth doesn't begin in the bank account. It begins in the mind. If your philosophy is right, the money will follow. If your philosophy is wrong, no amount of money will save you. That's why some people win the lottery and end up broke. Their philosophy couldn't handle the fortune. Meanwhile, others start with almost nothing and over time build fortunes because their philosophy was fertile ground. But here's what you don't do. Don't ask for more money until you ask for better philosophy. Don't ask for a raise until you raise your value. Don't ask for success until you ask for discipline. That's the foundation of wealth. And once you understand it, everything else begins to fall into place. It took me a long time to understand wealth isn't just about money. It's about habits. It's about the little disciplines practiced every day. And those little disciplines, when multiplied by time, create extraordinary results. Now, here's the part most people miss. Failure is just as easy as success, because both are the result of tiny steps taken daily. Eating the wrong food is easy, but so is eating the right one. Spending money on something you don't need is easy, but so is setting it aside for something that will multiply. The problem is, neglect feels harmless in the moment. Skip a day of saving, skip a day of learning, and nothing falls apart immediately. But string enough of those neglects together, and you've built a habit of poverty. The rich understand that wealth is built on small disciplines, not dramatic events. People wait for a windfall, a miracle, a big break. But wealth doesn't show up in a lump sum. It grows like a tree. First a seed, then roots, then a sprout, then years of steady growth, until one day it provides shade and fruit for generations. But if you keep pulling up the seed to check if it's working, it never takes root. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. In my early years, I thought the answer was more effort. Work harder, longer, faster. But you can row a boat all day in the wrong direction, and the shore you want will never appear. The secret wasn't more effort. It was better direction. That's why philosophy matters more than labor. Work hard, yes, but first, work smart. Have you ever seen someone who works 2 jobs, maybe 3, and still struggles? Then you see someone else who seems to work less, but prospers. That difference isn't effort, it's strategy. It's what they do with their time, what they do with their money, and what they do with themselves. You see, the wealthy understand leverage. They look for ways to make money work for them instead of working endlessly for money. They invest in skills that compound. They put money into assets that grow. They build relationships that multiply opportunity. Poor philosophy says you can do it all alone. Wealth philosophy says effort can be multiplied through others, through capital, through systems. That's why a wealthy person can create something that pays while they sleep, while the poor person only gets paid when they punch the clock. But here's the key. Wealth doesn't start with millions to invest. It starts with a single disciplined dollar. That dollar, saved, invested, or wisely used, is the beginning of leverage. One seed can produce a forest. One decision can create a destiny, but only if you respect the small beginnings. So here's where it starts. This is the foundation. Discipline in the small things, multiplied by time, guided by sound philosophy. That's what separates those who have wealth from those who only dream about it. Not luck, not chance, not even talent, but the courage to live by principle every single day. And if you want to test this, just look at your own life. Trace back the current state of your finances, your health, your relationships. They didn't arrive yesterday. They're the sum of decisions repeated. Wealth is the same. It doesn't come in a weekend seminar or a single payday. It comes in the accumulation of wise decisions over time. I'm telling you, the rich people get it. They understand this law of accumulation. Poor people ignore it, and I know that because I used to hang out in that crowd. But that's why the rich grow richer and the poor grow poorer. Not because of politics or fairness, but because of philosophy and discipline. That's the foundation. And until that foundation is laid, nothing else will stand. So we have the foundation, but that's not enough to change everything. Because here's the truth. Wealth is not just about money. It's about character. It's about vision. It's about responsibility. If you can't manage yourself, you'll never manage a fortune. The farmer knows that every season demands something different. In the spring, he plants. In the summer, he weeds and protects. In the fall, he harvests. And in the winter, he rests and plans. Wealth follows the same rhythm. There are seasons of sowing, seasons of tending, seasons of harvesting, and seasons of preparing. But here's the danger. Most people want to harvest in the same season they plant. They want instant wealth. They want to skip the weeding, skip the tending, and jump straight to the fruit. The rich understand that impatience destroys more fortunes than poverty ever did. But see, on the other hand, the poor philosophy says if you only had more money, you'd be secure. Wealth philosophy says if you only had more discipline, you'd be secure. See the difference? One blames circumstance. The other takes responsibility. And responsibility is the turning point. Wealth is always attracted to responsibility. If you prove you can handle a little, you'll be trusted with more. If you waste the little, even the little will disappear. That's why wealth doesn't begin with money. It begins with stewardship, with discipline. Can you be trusted with the small? Can you manage your household well? Can you keep promises? Because if you can't govern your own life, how can you expect the marketplace to entrust you with resources? You know, we got to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable. So be a steward to yourself. Here's what else I learned. If you want to become wealthy, you have to have an imagination. Poor philosophy says work, earn, spend. That's a flat circle. Wealth philosophy says work, earn, invest, multiply. That's a spiral that rises. But to see the spiral, you must have vision. You have to imagine what a dollar could become in 10 years. You have to picture what your skill could turn into with practice. Most people only see the paycheck. The wealthy see the potential. A man once said he couldn't save money because every dollar was already spoken for. Rent, food, gas, bills. It was all gone before it even hit his hands. And here's the problem that I saw. Had given his money a voice, but not a job. You see, every dollar that comes in should clock in like a worker. Show up, punch the time card, and get assigned a task. And if you're smart, you'll assign at least one of those workers a job called bring back friends. That'd be a good job for your dollars to have, right? Bring back more dollars. See, he'd never thought of money that way. And when I shared that with him, it did something to him. He started setting aside just $10 a week. Not much, but every one of those dollars had a job now. A couple of years later, I ran into him, and I'm telling you, he wasn't just saving. He was building. Not just money, but confidence. And all because he stopped listening to his money and started leading it. And that's what the rich understand. It's not the size of the seed, it's the soil of the mind. If the soil is rich, even a small seed can grow into abundance. But if the soil is poor, no amount of seed will survive. So that's the challenge. Stop asking where you can get more money. Start asking how you can become more disciplined, how you can grow your vision, how you can build habits of stewardship. Because if you get those right, money will chase you. Opportunities will find you. People will trust you. That's the secret. Money is not pursued, it is attracted. And it is attracted to discipline, vision, and responsibility. Wealth is not how many dollar bills you have stuffed under the mattress. It's a reflection of who you've become. That's why true wealth builders don't just grow accounts, they grow themselves. They understand that the person they are becoming is more valuable than the money they are accumulating. Because who you become will determine what you can keep. So how can we make this a reality in our life? It's one thing to talk about philosophy, discipline, and vision. But how do you apply it? How do you take the secrets the rich understand and put them to work in your own daily life? Well, let's start with money itself. Poor philosophy says, make a living, then spend until it's gone. Wealth philosophy says, make a living, then design a plan. The difference between spending until it's gone and living by design is the difference between poverty and wealth. The rich understand that money must be assigned a purpose before it arrives. Every dollar must have a job. If you don't give your money a job, it will slip through your fingers like water. Here's what did it for me. Every time money came in, I divided it into parts. A portion to give, a portion to invest, a portion to save, and yes, a portion to spend. That way, every dollar had direction. Most people let their emotions decide where the money goes, and emotions are expensive. The rich don't let feelings run their finances. They let philosophy guide them. So it's important to keep a grip on your emotions. And here's what is equally as important: your time. See, time is wealth in disguise. Poor philosophy says that you've got all the time in the world. But wealth philosophy will eventually make you understand that your time is precious, and it should be treated that way. If you waste $1, you can earn it back. Waste an hour and it's gone forever. The rich treat time as an asset. The poor treat it as a burden. The rich invest time in learning, building, creating. The poor spend time in distraction, entertainment, delay. The difference shows up not in a day, not in a week, but over a lifetime. Think about it. Someone spends an hour each day reading, learning, sharpening their mind. Another spends that same hour watching television, numbing their mind. Multiply that by a year, by 5 years, by a decade, and you have two entirely different lives. I'm telling you, the difference between success and failure is rarely dramatic. It's subtle, but compounded over time, it becomes dramatic. So ask yourself, what are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your time? Who are you doing it with? Those questions form the backbone of wealth. Neglect them, and wealth is a dream. Master them, and wealth becomes inevitable. But here's the catch. You must believe. You must believe that it is possible to live this way, because plenty of people do. But unfortunately, it is a small minority. And here's why. Saving $10 doesn't feel like wealth. Reading for an hour doesn't feel like fortune. Saying no to a negative conversation doesn't feel like success. But add them up over years, and suddenly the difference is night and day. That's why wealth builders live by principle, not by feeling. They see further down the road. Let me put it this way. The poor play for the short game. They want comfort today. The rich play for the long game. They want freedom tomorrow. And freedom tomorrow is worth far more than comfort today. That's the secret the rich understand, that small disciplines multiplied by time lead to massive results. So don't wait for a big break. Don't wait for a lottery ticket. Start with what you have. Direct every dollar, value every hour, and guard every association. That's where wealth begins, and that's how it grows. At some point, it's not about knowing anymore. It's about doing. Everyone in this room already knows more than they're practicing. Knowledge is not the problem. The gap between knowing and doing is where fortunes are lost. And here's the truth. Wealth requires courage. The courage to act when it's uncomfortable. The courage to say no when everyone else is saying yes. The courage to sacrifice today so you can celebrate tomorrow. If you keep living the way you've been living, where will you be in 5 years? That answer will tell you if you're on the path to wealth or the path to struggle. Because the future doesn't change by chance. It changes by choice. And you'll probably run into some obstacles. Most everyone does. But that's just what they are, obstacles. They're not stop signs, they are tests. They measure whether you're serious or casual. The poor see obstacles and stop. The rich see obstacles and find a way through. And every obstacle overcome strengthens character, sharpens skill, and builds confidence. That's why wealth builders don't complain about problems. They welcome them as training. How many of you play sports? Basketball, football, it doesn't matter. We all know that training isn't comfortable, but it's necessary. Every repetition builds strength. Every run builds stamina. Without resistance, there's no growth. Wealth follows the same principle. Every setback, every delay, every challenge is resistance training for your financial life. If you quit, you stay weak. If you push, you get strong. And I'll tell you what weakens most people. They want the rewards without the tests. They want the harvest without the plowing. They want the wealth without the work. But the marketplace doesn't work that way. It asks one question: are you valuable? And you prove your value through the way you handle obstacles. Here's what you must do. Stop excusing yourself. Excuses are the language of poverty. The economy is bad. The government doesn't care. I didn't get a good start. I know those things feel true. And maybe some of them are true, but they don't change your life. They just explain why it isn't changing. And if you live in that language long enough, it'll bury you. Excuses will cost you everything: your job, your energy, your friends, your confidence. One day you'll wake up, look around, and wonder why you're so unhappy, why nobody wants to be around you. It's because people can smell it. Bitterness, blame, regret. It pushes opportunity away. So I'm telling you now, cut it off at the root. Change the way you speak. Change the way you think. Because the longer you wait, the harder it gets. I hope I said that well. So you don't forget that excuses are deadly. But here's the encouragement. You don't have to be extraordinary to build wealth. You just have to be consistent. Ordinary disciplines, repeated daily, create extraordinary results. Most people give up too soon. They quit when it's hard, when it's slow, when no one is clapping. But if you stay with it, if you keep saving, keep learning, keep building, one day the breakthrough comes. And when it comes, it makes the struggle worthwhile. The rich understand that pain is temporary, but wealth is permanent. They're willing to endure short-term sacrifice for long-term freedom. That's the trade. Freedom later is worth discomfort now. Comfort now usually costs freedom later. And once you've tasted freedom, freedom of time, freedom of choice, freedom of resources, you'll never trade it back for comfort. So don't just listen to these ideas. Do something with them tonight. Make a decision. Start the discipline. Refuse the excuse. Take one step that proves you're serious. Because wealth doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to action. And the sooner you act, the sooner you change your future. Wealth is not a compartment. It doesn't sit in one corner of your life while the rest remains untouched. The principles that create financial wealth are the same principles that create wealth in health, in relationships, in influence, in character. The rich understand this. They know that success is interconnected, and the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So ask yourself, where is the poverty in your life? Not just in your bank account. Is it in your energy? Is it in your circle of friends? Is it in your habits? Because poverty in one area infects the others. And the opposite is true. Wealth in one area strengthens the others. Discipline with money makes it easier to be disciplined with health. Honesty in relationships builds trust in business. Growth in knowledge increases influence in every conversation. Wealth multiplies itself across all areas. That's the secret the rich understand. True wealth is not about one domain. It's about alignment. When your philosophy of discipline, vision, and stewardship governs all of life, financial wealth becomes a natural byproduct. It shows up not as the main prize, but as one of many rewards. I don't want you to settle for being rich in money, but poor in health. Don't settle for being rich in possessions, but poor in relationships. Aim for wealth in its fullest sense, a life strong, abundant, and free in every direction. That's the kind of wealth worth striving for, but you must decide. And I'm telling you, do not wait. That's what keeps people trapped. They wait for the right time, the right opportunity, the right conditions, but the right time never arrives. The rich decide. They don't wait for everything to be perfect. They move with what they have. They understand that waiting costs more than trying. A lost decade cannot be regained. An unused opportunity cannot be recovered. Wealth belongs to the decisive. Every person has to choose which side to stand on. And make no mistake, by not choosing, you've already chosen. Broke and poor is the default. So what do you want? Comfort now or freedom later? Excuses or responsibility? Poverty of philosophy or wealth of philosophy? The choice is yours, and no one can make it for you. But the moment you decide, you step into the secrets the rich have lived by all along. Wealth is not a mystery. It is not hidden behind locked doors. It is available to anyone willing to pay the price. The rich understand the price, and they pay it. The poor argue about the price, and they stay poor. The price is discipline. The price is vision. The price is responsibility. The price is sacrifice. And here's the truth. Every one of us is already paying a price. The question is not whether you'll pay, but which price you'll pay. You either pay the price of discipline today or you pay the price of regret tomorrow. You either pay the price of effort now or you pay the price of scarcity later. But make no mistake, the bill always comes due. So which price will you pay? The price of wealth or the price of poverty? The price of freedom or the price of bondage? The rich have answered that question. They've chosen discipline, growth, stewardship, urgency. That's why they live in wealth while others only dream about it. Don't leave this room the same as you entered. Don't let this be another talk you heard, another note you wrote, another idea you forgot. Let this be the moment you said enough excuses, enough delay. This is the day you chose wealth. Because one decision can change a lifetime. One habit can redirect a destiny. One discipline can open the doors to freedom. The rich understand that. Now it's your turn. Discipline yourself. Build the habits. Live the philosophy. Create the wealth. And when you do, you'll discover what the rich have known all along. That wealth is not luck. It is not chance. It is not magic. It is the natural result of principles lived faithfully over time. The secrets of wealth are no longer secrets. They're yours, if you're willing to live them. The only question that remains is, will you?